Welcome, welcome, welcome to the Lessons Learned by Lisa show. And today, I have an awesome friend that I have walked this journey with life with for many years. We met through our children, and now he is doing great things that it's just, but he always had it in him. You know, it's something about somebody that's been born in an island, and I'm just going to put that shout out there. Island babies, they do things when they come to America. So without further ado, I'd like to introduce to some, I'd like to present to others, my good friend, Mr. Curtis Symonds. Curtis, welcome to Lessons Learned by Lisa. How you doing today, my friend?
Lisa, thank you very much for bringing me on the show on Lessons Learned. So I hope I've learned something listening to you, because it's definitely been a good one right there.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. So we're going to start off. And as I said before, you're from an island. How did you get to America? Let's just start that journey right there.
Well, I was a baby. I came over to America when I was 2 years old.
Okay.
Out of Bermuda. My whole family, my mother and father, my sisters, cousins, uncles, whatever, all the family is from Bermuda.
Okay.
So I was an early bird. Coming over from the island at 2 years old into a small area called Wilberforce, Ohio. And my mother was teaching at Central State University. My father was working in the maintenance department at Central State University. So that's how I came over. That was my ride, getting in the door.
Okay. So did you go to that's the schools, that's the education that you went through, or as you became, a young
Well, that
adult?
was kind of funny. That's a funny story there, because when you live around a campus, you live around an area for so long, you don't want to stay around there at the beginning. So I wanted to play basketball. That was my real big thing. And I got cut all through my high school career and all the way to my junior year. And I just told my high school coach, you would not stop me from playing college basketball. So a friend of mine that was in the same class as me, he was getting recruited pretty heavily in his senior year. And I was just tagging along. And we both went to a small college up in Indiana called Rensselaer College. And they were offering him a scholarship, and I asked the coach, could I walk on? And I was able to walk on. And I played 2 years there. He ended up playing his whole 4 years there. I left after my sophomore year because the coach left, and I transferred back to Central State, where I ended up graduating in 1978, but I ended up playing my last 2 years at Central State University. I'm kicking myself now because I wish I had played all 4 years at Central State University, because the bonding, the relationships that I built in 2 years were just unbelievable. And the friends that I still have now over the years from Central State is just outrageous. And, when you're young, you don't really, and this is one of the reasons why I'm doing a streaming channel that I'm doing now, because you don't really understand the real power of HBCUs until you live it. And then once you live it, you really understand that power. And so it was a great education. I had a physical education background. I was a PE major. Never taught a day in my life since I came out of school. I was fortunate enough because I had a gift for gab to talk my way into things, and marketing became my weapon. Okay. And I started out as luckily, working for a cable organization called Continental Cablevision in my hometown. Okay. And my regional manager started me out as a regional coordinator, and then I ended up running the cable system in the same city I grew up at, Xenia, Ohio, which was extraordinary. So I knew all the people.
God wanted you to be in Ohio. There was some work with Curtis in Ohio.
Yeah. I mean, God blessed me. God blessed me, got me started. And I had a great mentor at that time, Janine Kozad, who literally took a chance on me. She wasn't, with my skills coming in the door, I literally had to run her down on the street to get a job. And luckily, we had a relationship early on because she was my Cub Scout teacher when I was a kid. So
she knew all about you.
Exactly. And that was the network, and she gave me an opportunity, and I never looked back, once she gave me the opportunity. So I spent 3 years there, and then I knew I didn't want to live in Xenia, Ohio for my life. It was just too small for me. So I had a lot of programming guys in the cable business, like the BETs, the ESPNs, the MTVs, and all the guys would come visit me because they wanted to get on my cable system. And I always would mention them, hey, man, if anything comes up on the programming side, I'm interested. And so a job came open for a company called Group W Satellite. They owned a company called Satellite News, which is like a 24-hour CNN. And I moved to Chicago to take that job, which lasted like 3 months because Ted Turner ended up buying the company out. And so I was out on the fin with my family in Chicago. I was married, I had a baby, I had one coming. So it was kind of a
lot of pressure.
Lot of pressure at that time, trying to figure stuff out. But luckily, another friend of mine turned me on to ESPN, and that was the dream job of all dream job. I'm a sports nut, so he got me in the door there, and I ended up being the regional manager for affiliate marketing for ESPN out of Chicago, and I did that for 8 years.
Wow!
And I kind of built a name for myself in the business, and was able to really position myself in a good way that people looked up to me in the business, to where I had a lot of respect in the industry. And then after about 8 years, I kind of realized I was hitting that wall at ESPN because everybody was young and it wasn't really going to be too much movement for me. And I was ready to move. So Bob Johnson called me out the blue one day and said, listen, man, I'm looking for somebody to run all my affiliate marketing for me.
Wow.
And I know I can't afford you, but if you know anybody, let me know. Well, I came home and started thinking about it and talking to my wife. I was like, well, damn, why wouldn't I take the shot? So I called him back and said, Bob, we should meet. And I came to DC and sat down with him. And, of course, we as Black people don't always have great criticism about other Black people. And so when I was calling some of my friends in the business, all of them thought I was crazy. They were like, man, I don't know why you're going to work for this guy. BT's in the bottom of the barrel in the cable world. You're at the top of the world with ESPN. Why would you leave them to go to this? And my thinking was that I had hit the wall and I needed something different. And so I sat down with Bob and we had a great conversation. He laid out his dream of where he was going to take the network. And I just asked him a fundamental question that took me over the hump. I said, listen, I can help you drive this business, but I can't be micromanaged. If you're looking for a guy that you want to be on his shoulder every minute, that's not me. I'm not the guy for the job for you. I'm a guy, you give me my territory, you give me my space, let me do what I do, I'm going to deliver. And he's like, look, no, the way I look at it is, this is your company. The affiliate marketing area, look at it as your business. You drive it any way you see fit, just get the job done for me.
So as long as the end result was what he wanted, he didn't care how you got there, as long as it was with character and integrity.
Right. And it was a good time because I came to him in 1988. The industry was not really building. They hadn't really started building heavy in the urban markets like Chicago, the New Yorks. They were just starting to get cable. So the timing was just perfect. And then they started building these markets out.
So you were a trailblazer.
Yeah. So BT started expanding in a lot of the urban markets, which they should be. And from that, we began to grow. And we grew from 18 million when I came in to when I left in 2001, over 80 million.
Wow.
And, I was real proud of my team's effort because I had to put together a really, really good team that believed in my vision and what Bob was doing, and they worked their butts off. And a lot of people say to me all the time, you were the one driving. I'm like, nah. You got to look at your team. Your team is if you put a good team together that believes in what you're doing, then they're going to get the job done for you. And I was fortunate that I was able to put a good team of folks together who really came together as a village to build that community.
And that's why you are a remarkable leader, because you don't take the credit. You give the flowers to the people on the team, and that's a very rare character trait, especially in today's world where you're taught that it's all about me. I got to do me. So the fact that you realize the importance of having a team that you acknowledge and you respected, goes a long way, because people work for you. You work harder when your leader believes in you and doesn't make it all about them, whoever that leader is.
You're right. I think you're very, very much right on that, and we had a lot of success. We had a lot of success with it over the years, and it was a good ride, you know. So I did that for 14 years, and then I decided to leave right after the Viacom buy, and people had always been riding me about getting into the entrepreneur world, and I was just scared of it, you know, flat out scared of it. You know, I was used to having that check every 2 weeks with a family.
Responsibilities,
Like,
exactly.
right. I was like, nah, I can't just get out here on the hump and just be taking a shot and see what I come up with. But I did finally take that jump, and it was a good jump. And I was glad after I did it, because I didn't realize how many people had respected me in the business. So I was able to position myself in a way that I created a marketing group called Symonds Synergy Group at the time. And we began putting together some great branding concepts and other partnerships that was driving good business. And then I ended up doing that. And then I got called, and it was another organization, a nonprofit I was on the board of, called the T. Howard Foundation, who was looking for a president. And they knew the efforts I had put in T. Howard. They were like, Curtis, you can run this in your sleep. Why don't you run it? So I decided to do it. And I still kept my marketing company on the side. But, you know, T. Howard was an organization of trying to get minority students paid summer intern gigs. Okay. So the goal was to try to take the internships from 25 to 50. So I was able to do that in a year. It was a great uphill battle, because it was built on the satellite side of the business. And so I was able to, because of my relationships being in the cable side for so many years, now start bringing the cable business into this, which was not easy, because cable and satellite was still battling over the turf, you know. And so, but I was able to try to help them understand, but for minority students, it's about the students. It's not the war between the companies. Exactly. It's about trying to get more minorities in the business. Just look around. You know, you keep talking, you keep throwing the word out diversity, but though you have a problem dealing with cable and satellite, it's got nothing to do with that.
Exactly.
So I was able to break that glass and begin to start getting the cable operators to understand the importance of diversity and bringing young people of color to work within their cable systems. And
that's the only way you're going to expand your market share anyway.
Bottom line. Yeah. So it started working. And so I did that for like 2 years. And then I was thinking about building a gymnasium complex in Chantilly, Virginia at the time. And so I had been working on that in the back door. At the same time, Sheila Johnson, who was Bob Johnson's ex-wife, my wife was always taking her out with another couple out to dinner. And so one night she said to me at the end of the dinner, she said, everybody else had left the table. She said, Curtis, I'm thinking about buying the WNBA Washington Mystics. I said, well, if you buy them, I want to get in. Now I was looking at it as just marketing, you know, getting on the marketing side and helping her out that way. Well, she came back about 2 weeks later, not 2 weeks later, probably about 3 weeks later, and called me. I happened to be out in Ohio, and called me and said, look, you need to get back. I'm getting ready to buy the Mystics. Wow. So I showed up for the press conference, and everybody in the Verizon Center knew me pretty well for my BT life. So they were like, well, we know you must be getting ready to do something here. And I'm like, I ain't doing nothing. I'm just showing up. I'm just here just being supportive. So about a week later, Sheila called me and says, I want to offer you the president's job of running the Mystics. I said, president's job? I said, Sheila, I've never run a professional team. I've been in sports and run a professional team. You sure? She's like, I know you can do it. So I had an interview with a guy, an NBA guy in New York and in Leonsis, and they both liked me a lot. And I got the gig. And so I did that for 2 years, from 05 to 07. And then I was building my gym. It got completed when I took the job with the Mystics. So I was trying to do two in one. And something's going to fall short. Something was going to crack. And the problem was that I was putting a lot of energy in helping the Mystics out, but I wasn't putting enough energy in my own business. And when you got 65,000 square feet to pay for it every month, it becomes a very, very expensive process.
Real quick.
very quick. So about 08, 09, started getting in a little trouble financially with the gym. I had left the Mystics, but we didn't get off to a good start with the gym, and we were in the hole. And so by the time I got into it full time, I was
You were
shoveling
drowning.
hard. I was drowning big time, big time. And so I was trying to do everything I could to hold it. But we ran it 5 years. We took it all the way to 011, but the banks got me, and so I ended up losing it. And it was a good learning. It was a learning experience because I had been on a good roll and been successful. And what really woke me up is a book by Ted Turner. Inside the book, he says, sometimes you have to fail to be successful.
Isn't that
And
funny? The man that bought your station that left you
right,
cargo,
right, exactly.
trying to figure it out with a wife and a baby and one on the way,
exactly,
is the one that could pour something into you where you could learn a lesson from. So
yeah.
we have to be careful not to write people off too quickly, that there's a lesson to learn in everything.
No question. No question. And I became good friends with Ted. So I really appreciated reading that piece in the book because it was a great wake-up call. And it was one that made me go on another determination drive that, okay, that's one notch, but I got many more to go.
Exactly.
So I was dealing with a friend of mine in New York, a big media guy for many years. And he knew my love for HBCUs because I graduated from Central State. And he was like, why don't you create an HBCU channel? I was like, man, you have a lot of money to do all that. I don't have that kind of money, And he said, well, go to business plan and bring it back to. So his company was a financial backer. So I thought maybe he was talking about, his company backing whatever I bought. So I bring the business plan back. He loved it. He said, take it over to Comcast and see if you can get any distribution. So I met with a guy that I knew very well, Matt Bond, and we had a good 30-minute conversation. And, I thought it was a typical white boy conversation where he says, Curtis, I get it. He said, let me get back to you. So I'm thinking, okay, I'm going to get a call in a week saying,
nice, but we're not interested at this time.
Exactly. The standard line. Instead, I got a call saying, we want to do a deal with you. And that we're going to do a 20-year deal. We're going to pay you 7.5 cents a sub.
Wow.
And we're going to put you on these different systems. Now I'm going crazy. I'm like, I get a linear deal just
for 20 years.
20 years. So we started working on it. I'm calling the other cable operators and all the programmers and all saying to me, you get the Comcast deal done, I'll do a Comcast deal with you. Okay. So I was working on it for about 6-7 months with another guy inside Comcast. And I get a call one day from Matt saying, hey, listen, they had just bought NBC. And he said, Comcast had. So he said, Curtis, I'm getting ready to take the programming job over at NBC. A lot of stuff's going to change. Now, I don't think we're going to be able to pull this deal off now. I'm like, what? And while I'm talking to him, literally, Lisa, while I'm talking to him, coming through my emails is the contract.
Wow.
So I said, I'm a little confused here, man. I said, I got an email here with the contract. Oh, no, you shouldn't have got that, blah, blah, blah. So
hey,
I was trying to wheel and deal. They went dark for a minute on me. And so I called Brian Roberts, who I knew very well, the owner of Comcast. I said, listen, man, this was going on. You need to set me up a meeting and I need to get some audience. Somebody explain to me what's happening here. So I got that audience. And of course, they, came up with all kinds of different lines of why they couldn't carry the network now. Blah, 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 blah. So that's how Puffy's channel got built and Magic's channel got built, because they wanted the minority channels, because they told the FCC that they were going to do X amount of minority channels. But as I told them when I walked out the door, I said, you're not going to look at the content. You're going to look at somebody with a name. And, that's how those guys got their business. So it put me on a mission. So I figured that I couldn't go linear. What could I do? So I said, one of the ways that maybe I can work on this thing is create a streaming channel, a lot less cheaper and a lot easier way to get access to distribution. So I started working towards that way. So me and my business partner, Clint Evans, we started grinding on it, trying to find more money to keep us alive. And I started getting a few different pockets of people who would drop me, 50,000 here, 25,000 here, believed in me and helped me keep it going. And then in 2020, actually started in 2020. I had been knowing Byron Allen for a long time, and we knew each other. Didn't work that close, but we knew each other pretty well. And so one day out the blue, a friend of mine, Marcus King, who owns a big finance company in LA, called me and said, "Hey man, have you talked to Byron?" I said, "No." He said, "Man, this guy was at the Billboard Awards and gave you like the ultimate line for the night." I said, "What are you talking about?" "Oh man, he really pumped you up."
Wow.
I said, "Really?" And so
you're like, who's this guy?
Yeah. So while he was, after he hung up, about half an hour later, Byron's right-hand person, who I knew very well, Janice Aru, called me and said, "Curtis, I got to send you this link on Byron because he really gave you the pump." I said, "Really?" She said, "Yeah, I'm going to send it." So she sends it to me. It's like 10 o'clock Eastern time. I'm like, "I'm tired." I'm like, "Look, I'll look at it in the morning, blah, blah, blah." So I plug it in the next morning. And the girl asked me, like, "Byron, well, why are you suing Comcast for $20 billion? What is that about?" So he goes in saying, "Well, let me tell you the real reason. My friend Curtis Symonds has an HBCU channel, and they refused to put that channel on. That pissed me off. So that made me even more infuriated to come after them." And I was like, "Okay." So I hit him with a note, said, "Hey man, I appreciate the words, and it was really kind of blah, blah, blah." So about 4 months later, he's on the Breakfast Club, and they ask him the same question, and he gives them the same answer. And I'm like, "Whoa, wait a minute. Now you got to put me out there." Then 2 months later, I get a call from the Comcast lawyer saying, "Well, maybe we need to talk to you because Byron Allen is putting you out there as his reason that he is suing us." I'm like, "Whoa, hold up. I'm not involved in this suit at all. I didn't ask him to do this. This was on him. So you need to
trying to make your name clean."
Ain't no question. I'm not getting in front of that courtroom, not at all. So, we talk in between there, and I'm like, "Look, man, you kind of putting me out there.
What's the reason behind it?"
Yeah, what's your plan?" So he's like, "Look, well, let me get through the suit and get back to you, blah, blah, blah." So he gets through the suit. Then he gets this, he didn't get any money out of it, but what he did get was what he really wanted to get was distribution. Comcast opened the doors to give him, a lot more because he bought the Weather Channel. So now he could get the Weather Channel and more distribution along with some of his other channels. So I called him and said, "Byron, we need to talk." He said, "Well, what do you need, Kurt?" I said, "Look, if I can get $1 million, that would get me really moving in a fast-paced situation." He said, "I tell you what, here's how I look at things. I look to own. I don't look to invest. I look to own." I said, "So what do you tell me? You want to buy my channel?" He said, "Yeah." He said, "Why don't you put a proposal together? Let's look at it. Let's talk about it and see where we go from there." So that's what I did. I put a proposal together, came back to him, and we worked things out.
And look at you now. And it couldn't happen at a more better time because I was thinking 2020 was when COVID first hit.
Yeah.
So the world shut down, but you were still making money, Curtis.
Right. So, the timing was right. HBCUs were just starting to turn the corner. So.
And he could give them the gasoline to keep pushing.
Bottom line.
And now your dream was still getting accomplished.
You got it. And I just told him the icing on the cake for me was, I said, "Listen, I'll sell you my company, but I still want to run it." He said, "Fine, that's what I want you to do." He said, "In fact, I'll give you like a 7-year deal."
Hey.
I said, You ain't gonna tell me twice.
I know that's right. So that gets us to the great award that just happened just recently. Why don't you tell the people what happened to you just like literally a few weeks ago?
Well, thank you, Lisa. It was a big honor. Last Thursday in New York, I was honored with by the Broadcasting Cable Hall of Fame. I didn't know how big the honor was. I downplayed it when they called me in 2019, told me about it. And then, COVID jumped in, so they couldn't do the banquet until now. But I didn't realize how big it was, and it didn't dawn on me until that night. But a lot of people had really called me leading up to it, like saying, do you realize how big this award is?
It's because you walk in, I have always walked ever since I've known you in complete humility. So I can see that being your stance in it, but you have truly done a lot. I've seen how you've worked with the young boys in the neighborhoods and the communities. I've seen that you will pull your sleeves up and you're not afraid of hard work. You're not afraid of sweat. And you've always been a man of character. I've never seen your name mixed up in foolishness. And, when you've known people for lots of years and you've seen when kids have been from 5 and 7 to grown men in their 30s now, and you can actually say that the people that you spent time with, that you've seen grown and develop, they still have the same character. Yeah. You don't find that a lot nowadays. So I want to acknowledge you publicly and say you have done an awesome job at representing Black men in America. Thank you. You're good to your family, to your kids, to your business, to your friends. And so I even read that you were invited to the Disney Dreamers like a few weeks ago. And so I was like, Curtis is doing the daggone thing. I ain't mad at you at all. So you are definitely an example of what God says your ladder should be greater than your beginning. So I just want to thank you for spending some time with us, sharing your journey of how it took you from that little boy in Bermuda to Ohio to now living in Virginia. I'm glad that you shared that sometimes you failed, but you didn't allow failures to keep you tormented and paralyzed. You picked yourself up and you put yourself back in, and you didn't give halfway. You went in 100%. And that's why today we're sitting here looking at a Hall of Famer. You know what I'm saying?
Well, thank you very much.
So I want to say thank you. Thank you for joining Lessons Learned by Lisa today. And we're going to give a shout out. If you got your hashtag, I don't know if you got an IG account, you got a website. If people want to reach out to you, I don't know, give us a shout out, Curtis. We might got a little maturity in us, but we got some technology too.
They want to shout out at me, they can hit me on my email, which is Curtis Symonds @gmail. All one word, Curtis Symonds @gmail.
Thank you.
I appreciate it. And have them go to my website. They go to that website, which is hbcugo.tv. And tell me what you think.
Tell them what you think. So thank you. Thank you, everybody, for listening to another session of Lessons Learned by Lisa. Know that I love you real hard. Have a great one.